Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Coffee here, and today we're doing our whip and chat. So get out whatever that is for you and come along with me as I tell you some stories from the coffee house shenanigans. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and a great holiday. We don't typically celebrate Memorial Day here because nobody that lives around us is a veteran. So we just had a normal, it was just a normal Monday to us. But I hope you guys had a wonderful, eventful holiday. So this weekend went as any weekend probably should. First things first, thank you to everyone who joined me in live on Friday. It was so nice to see so many faces I hadn't seen in a while, and it was nice to be able to show you guys the new setup. I hope you guys really love it as much as I do. I'm trying to figure out now how to do it with diamond painting because the camera that I have kind of points at me and then the tablet is projected to my computer. It's not like with diamond painting where I would have to have another camera on the diamond painting. So I'm still trying to figure that out, but I have a couple of days, obviously, because today's only Tuesday. So the day I'm recording this is actually Tuesday. So yeah, Monday, Mr. Coffee had off work and me and him had a serious talk about mental health and everything else. We have these talks every once in a while just to check to see where everybody is at. Where we're at, because it's just him and I talking. But we had a nice talk, but the weekend started for us technically on Friday because the kids had off of school because they are officially out for summer. Yes, I am so excited that the kids are out for summer. Mostly because I don't have to go pick them up now, so I don't have to rush around to record things or get things done to go pick them up. I don't have to worry about, halfway through my day having to stop and go pick them up. Now they're home, so I'm super excited about that. They are also excited because they get to sleep in and go out and play whenever they want to. So Friday was their first official day home, and I told them, look, listen, I love y'all, but until this trial stuff ends, I'm going to need y'all to preoccupy yourselves. And they did a pretty good job, except for Maggie. Maggie's usually the one that needs the most attention. So she was just kind of like, can I sit here and watch it with you? And I was like, I guess. And she sat there and watched it with me, and she was like doing her own commentating to it. And I'm like, okay. And then we sat and played Uno, because that seems to be our game of choice right now. I'm going to try to teach the kids Skippo today, actually, because that's another game that I purchased that I forgot that I purchased that had been sitting on top of the fridge until yesterday when I went to go open the freezer for something, and it kind of belted me in the head, and I was like, what the hell? And I look, and it's a thing of Skippo cards, and I was like, oh, snap. So I'm going to teach them Skippo today because I'm tired of getting beat at Uno. The way my life is set up, I'm a sore loser, and even if it's to kids, look, listen, I'm tired of getting beat by a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. I'm like, Maggie, you can't even count right, and I'm getting beat by a 9-year-old. Like, this says something, and it really affects, like, how I feel about myself. But Maggie has become like a freaking Uno god or something, and she is like really good at Uno, and now her and Orion actually have legit battles back and forth with it, which is great because that tells me that she's learning. So that's a plus. Now do keep in mind that if I have to pause for whatever reason, it's probably because one of the kids came down. It is early in the morning on Tuesday. While I'm recording this, Mr. Coffee has returned back to work. But yeah, so Friday we spent playing Uno, and then I went live. I was so happy that all my stuff worked properly because for some reason, every time I open up OBS, some of my settings are changed or something isn't like I left it. And I'm just like, God dang it. So I'm glad that everything worked out and it didn't turn into what it turned into the last 2 weeks when I tried to use it, and it just was not working. It just would not work for me. So I'm super excited I got it to work and I was able to figure it out. So there's that. And then Saturday, Maggie was asked, could she go to a sleepover? And I'm like, a sleepover? I guess. So Maggie got to go to another sleepover at her little friend's house up the street. She was super excited because the little girl and her family that live up the street, they are like us. They're homebodies. They don't typically go a whole lot of places. and her daughters just love Maggie, so they asked if Maggie come over for a sleepover, and I had to explain to them, sure, she can come over for a sleepover, but please keep her away from the paint. She has ruined one outfit that she cannot wear now, and her hair last time she was here, and I don't really want there to be paint in her hair. So if you guys could just keep her away from the paint, I'm sorry, she is not the female Bob Ross, and I don't want her messing with paint. So they promised me that she wouldn't mess with paint, and she didn't. But she went to a sleepover, which of course that meant like it was just me, Mr. Coffee, and Orion in the house, and we sat and watched movies. We kind of camped out in the living room because it was raining really hard that night, and I was worried because Maggie, she's not afraid of the rain, but sometimes the noise of it hitting the windows and stuff startles her a little bit. And I was like, well, she needs to learn to be a big girl if she's going to be going out to sleep over at her friend's house. So I'm not, because she had her walkie-talkie with her, because when the kids go out, the best thing I ever did, okay, was this walkie-talkie idea. And I can't even say it's my idea, because I'm pretty sure somebody else had this idea before me, but we just got the kids walkie-talkies not too long ago. Sorry about that. Maggie scared the crap out of me just now. But yeah, so she got to go to sleepover, and then Orion and Mr. Coffee and I, we ordered out and sat and watched a movie and just kind of vegged out here in the living room until we all kind of passed out. Orion eventually did go upstairs, but me and Mr. Coffee didn't go up till like late. And he's like, you want to watch another, like we wake up at like 4 o'clock and he's like, you want to watch another movie? No, I don't want to watch another movie. I want to go to bed. I'm tired. Like, what the hell? So when she was gone, we did, you know, try to do something fun with Orion to keep his mind off the fact that, like, we're trying to get them used to not being around each other all the time. And it seems to be working. Orion doesn't seem to be so sad whenever Maggie leaves now. And I told him, you know, which is funny because, you know, they're typical brother and sister. So when they're around each other, they just bicker and fight all day. And then when they're not around each other, they just whine that the other one's not around. So, like, it's funny that he even would fuss, because usually whenever they're around each other, they just bicker and fight back and forth anyways. But I understand it. Orion and Maggie haven't been separated a whole lot while they were little. Matter of fact, they weren't separated at all when they were little. If we had sleepovers, they usually happened at our house, so I wouldn't have to separate them. And so, yeah, so now that Maggie's actually got friends and she's leaving the house, Orion, I think he's starting to feel some type of way. And I want him to know that, you know, when he goes, because he's been to sleepovers at his friend's house before, and maybe just like once. And he asked about going this weekend, and I'm like, I guess if you want to go. Like, my thing is, both kids are going to want to go to a sleepover on the weekend, and I'm going to sit here like, okay, what do I do now? Like, does that mean my job is done? No, obviously not. But yeah, back to the walkie-talkies. So we got the kids walkie-talkies a couple of weeks ago because I was like, we were going to do the cell phone thing. The problem is they wouldn't keep the cell phones charged. They wouldn't answer the cell phones. They would spend more time making funny faces at each other or other people that they could text message than they would answering the freaking phones. So I was like, all right, let's go for walkie-talkies because I can charge the walkie-talkies. And essentially we'll get a lanyard that they can wear around their neck, and then whenever they go outside, they can use the, you know, walkie-talkies instead of cell phones. Well, it's been working swimmingly. I love having the cell phone. So if you have not tried this and you have little ones that are around my kids' age, try giving them walkie-talkies if you haven't already. Because again, I didn't come up with this on my own. So I gave Maggie a walkie-talkie before she left, and the problem with it is there's somebody else on the same line as us. So the entire time that Maggie was out, the walkie-talkie kept going off and you could hear muttered voices. And I'm like, who is on this line? It got to be so annoying. I just turned the damn walkie-talkie off. I'm like, forget it. I don't want to hear this anymore. Like, it would beep like every 2 minutes. And I'm just like, I don't want to hear this anymore. So I turned it off, and then I would turn it back on around the time I figured she was going to bed. And then she walkies us to let us know she's going to bed so that we know she's okay. We also make sure she gets her medicine before she leaves to go stay over. And she came back just in time, because right as she left, it started like pouring down, raining. And I'm like, I'm glad she came over when she did, because she would have got caught in the rain. But luckily the house that she's staying at is only a couple houses away from ours. So it's not like, you know, she had far to go or something and nobody had to drive her. She just walked up the street. So there was that. But she had her walkie-talkie with her, and so what she's supposed to do is when she goes to bed, she walkies us, and then when she wakes up in the morning and gets settled, she walkies us to let us know that she woke up and she's okay, and she's going to be coming to the house to drop her stuff off here in a bit. but usually she ends up staying out for a little bit, playing with the kids and stuff outside. And surprisingly, the neighborhood kids have settled down just a little bit, just enough to make me not have to go outside like every 20 minutes and tell them to settle down and stop messing with each other, because yeah, that's getting old. I don't know if the two little boys that have been messing with Maggie are still up the street, but I haven't seen them or heard anything about them. So I'm guessing they're, you know, probably off doing whatever. Which, you know, I don't care. I just want them to be able to play nicely outside with everybody else and not have to have everybody else's parents, like, coming in fussing at them, because I wasn't the only parent. From what I was told, I wasn't the only parent that was fussing at them and their parents because their kids don't know how to behave. And I'm sorry, if your kid don't know how to behave, I will definitely tell them about themselves. So, like, I'm glad I wasn't the only parent, because the little girl house that Maggie went to go stay at, her mom was telling me that she also had to go have a talk with these little kids. And there's always, I feel like there's every neighborhood always has that one kid that just doesn't get along with any of the other kids, but he swear up and down he's going to play with everybody. I swear that's what happened. So I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of like, you know, Maggie's out having fun. We're gonna, you know, do some fun stuff here. So we sat and played cards, and we just had nice, fun family time with Orion. And he didn't seem to mind the fact that Maggie was gone as much as he did last time. Like, he wasn't continuously asking about her and stuff. And I'm like, we try not to mess with them too much about it, but I was picking on him a little bit. I was like, you know, you miss your sister, buddy? No. When is she coming home? I'm like, she'll be home tomorrow, dude. Like, she didn't move away or something. She's just up the street. And he's like, okay. So he was telling us about what he's reading in his Harry Potter book. And I was telling him that maybe we could go to the public library and get him a library card. And he said maybe later, because right now he has enough books to last him the entire summer. So he's not too worried about getting a library card right now. And I think Maggie's the same way. I think she has enough books for right now that she's not really worried about going to the public library. Just because she has enough books that she's gotten from Elisa. So again, huge thank you to Elisa for the books for the kids. They're super excited that they have them for the summer. Sorry, Maggie's over there watching TV with the TV blaring all the way. Oh, the joys of recording with children in the house again. Every year I feel like I have to get used to this. I have to get used to them being home again and having to record around them, and versus them just being gone and me procrastinating all day. Because that's usually what would end up happening. But now that they're home for summer, I have to get back into a groove of recording with them being home, which isn't bad. It just, they want to watch TV, but they want to watch the big TV, which of course they blare it as loud as they can, because even though you're only 4 feet away from the TV whenever you're in the living room, we need the volume up to 100. Like, why are kids deaf and blind when it comes to TV? I don't know. So anyways, so Maggie went to a sleepover, and then we sat and played Uno and, you know, card games with Orion and watched movies. And then comes Sunday, Maggie finally comes home, and Orion, of course, was in his room, so he didn't even notice that she had came home. She came home, took her meds, dropped off her stuff from her sleepover, and then went back outside. And Orion, like, comes down, like, a couple hours later, and he's like, when is Maggie coming home? I'm like, Maggie's already been home, dude. He's like, oh, is she in her room? I'm like, no, she's outside. And he's like, oh. I'm like, you can go outside. Why this kid won't go outside is beyond me. I don't know. Like, every once in a while, he'll want to go outside. But then there's most of the time where he's like, no, I don't want to go out there. And it's not even that hot here. Like, the hottest that it's gotten so far was 75 last Thursday. That's the hottest it's been in the last, I don't know. That's probably the warmest it's been all year, actually. So I'm like, you know, why don't you want to go outside? And he's like, I just don't want to go out there. The sun's out there. I'm allergic. You're not allergic to the sun. I always tell him he's allergic to everything because he's allergic to trees and pollen and grass and all the fun stuff. So I always tell him he's allergic to everything, but he takes it to heart and he's like, I can't go outside. I'm allergic to the sun. You're not allergic to the sun. I'm sorry. Go outside. So it's one of those things where you got to treat him like a Flintstone. You just got to put him on the porch and close the door and hope for the best, because, like, I need to get this kid outside. He needs sunshine, like, really bad. And he goes, I get sun. I open my window. That is not the same, sir. You need fresh air. again, I just opened my, that is not, this kid will make every argument. This kid is a paralegal whenever it comes to making an argument as to why he can't go outside. And I'm like, little boy, if you don't take your tail outside, I'm telling you what. Oh, I probably should tell y'all this, but I'm working on Beautifully Broken by Diamond Art Club. I'm adding a little razzle dazzle to her because, you know, I'm extra and that's what I do. So, yeah, I'll explain the enhancements whenever I finish the kit. So, yeah, there's that. But I got one section of this canvas completed yesterday, just because I actually felt like diamond painting. That feeling doesn't come to me often, so when I do feel like doing it, I will sit back here and do it. But more than likely, I usually just go up front and diamond paint. That's what I was doing during the trial, just because the bigger TV's up there, and I don't want to have to lift my head up too far to look at the TV. So I would just, you know, take my old table that I used to record on, and I take it to the living room and record on that. And then I realized that probably is the issue, and I think a few of you figured that out. Part of the issue why I don't like diamond painting too much anymore is because I'm not near my husband, and I'm so used to being near him whenever I diamond paint that now that I'm not, I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to go hang out with him. Plus, when he gets home from work, I like to spend that time with him because usually he's super tired, and he's usually after work he goes to bed shortly afterwards. And so I don't want to be sitting back here the entire time and not get to spend any time with him, and then he goes to bed and I feel bad because we didn't spend any time together, because I can easily sit back here all day. You know how much stuff is back here? Good God. So I like to go spend time with him, which means I don't diamond paint because my diamond painting stays back here. I don't like moving it, mostly because of the fact that it's too many pieces. I'm scared I'm going to drop something or spill something, and I have enough problem with dropping and spilling stuff as I'm sitting here, let alone to take it with me into the living room to go drop and spill it out there. So yeah, there's that. And he had off for the holiday because this weekend, every day this weekend, which was just the 2 days, he kept getting called in for stupid stuff. Like, he was at work a total of maybe 20 minutes, but he kept having to go back into work to go do stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you just don't get a day off this week? Like, I don't understand why they keep calling you in. And he's like, oh, he goes, I get a day off. I'm not going in on Monday. And I'm like, did they tell you don't have to go in? Because I forgot it was a holiday. And he was like, no, it's a holiday. And I'm like, oh, that's right. He gets paid for the holidays. It's his choice on whether or not he wants to go in for the holiday. But because he didn't get Saturday or Sunday off because he was spending time at work or talking to them about work, he just decided to take all of Monday off, which was nice because he didn't have to go in. He did get a phone call from work, but he didn't end up having to go in from the phone call, so he was excited about that. He got to sit around all day, and he got to experience what it's like for me to sit here with these goddamn own kids all day, because he thinks that, I swear he thinks I just sit here with bonbons and a robe on watching soap operas on TV or something. Which one? Who still watches soap operas? Asking for myself. But no, the little kids were all outside playing. He goes outside and realizes there's something going on because there's a bunch of kids yelling and screaming and whatnot. And he's like, what's up with all these goddamn kids yelling and screaming and blah? I'm like, welcome to my life. This is every day. Every day I have to go out there and tell them to settle the hell down because they're constantly yelling and screaming and fighting with each other. It's just the kid way. Oh, I need a trash bucket. Haven't needed one of those in a while. All right, so we're gonna grab this. I need something to put my trash in. We're gonna put it in there. So yeah, like Mr. Coffee has zero patience when it comes to other people's children, let alone his own. So I'm just like, don't talk to the kids, just leave the kids alone. I will deal with it. Well, I guess he went out to go walk the dogs, and one of the little kids was yelling at Maggie, and he wasn't about to have that. So he went over and said something to the little kid and told him, you know, knock it off. Stop yelling at these kids out here. And you're definitely not going to be yelling at our daughter. And I'm like, you know, I just happened to go check to see what he was doing outside because he had been out there a little longer than he usually is. And sure enough, I see him like talking to this little kid, and I'm like, here we go. And this was like, I want to say this was Sunday, because then Monday I have officially called Misdemeanor Monday because I almost caught a charge because one of those little kids outside, let me tell you what happened. So I'm sitting here minding my own crafty business, and I decide to go take the dogs outside. As I'm taking the dogs outside, you guys know, every summer I have to go through the same thing. It's not even just the summer. Anytime there's kids outside, I have to go through the same thing. I have dogs in the dog park, and then there's children that think that they're entitled to come into the dog park to pet my dogs because they feel like it and they want to. I had 3 little kids come up to the dog park as I'm trying to walk my dogs, and they decide that they're going to stand in the dog park. And I was like, okay, seeing as how none of y'all are dogs, I'm going to need y'all to hop up out of the dog park so that I can let my dogs play in the dog park. Plus, why would you want to play in a dog park that's full of dog poop? Like, make it make sense. You have a whole playground literally 5 feet away from here. You want to play in a poop-filled dog park. We just want to pet your dogs. This is not how you do it, one, and I'm not a child, and you're not going to bully me into playing with my dogs. So how about you yeet your ass up out the dog park so that I can walk my dogs? And the one little boy is like, we'll get out as soon as you let us walk your or pet your dogs. I'm like, you'll get out, or I'll let the dogs loose and they'll bite you. How about that? I'll tell my dad. Ooh, your dad. Go get him. Go ahead, go get him. Now, I always love it when kids say that they're going to call their parents over. Because, again, if you don't know Miss Coffee, I'm 6'1", built like a linebacker, okay? Go get your daddy, okay? I guarantee you I'm probably bigger than him. So, little boy is like, you look like Maggie. Are you Maggie's sister? Thanks. No, I'm her mother. So, how about you go get your dad? How about that? How about you go get your dad? And me and your dad can have an adult conversation as to why his child's a little asshole. And he's like, oh, I'm telling my dad you cursed. Ooh, yes, please do. Because Miss Coffee isn't almost 40 years old and can't curse. All right. Yeah, go run along, children. Go call your parents. And so the little boy goes, and I guess, and talks to his dad, which I didn't realize the one little boy lived right across the street from the dog park. And the little boy's dad I see him come to the door, look at me. I wave, and I was like, hello. I'm over here if you would like to speak with me. And he just closes the door. The little boy never came back outside. I don't know what happened. I'm like, oh, nobody ever wants to talk to me. I don't get it. And, yeah, so I didn't have to worry about him anymore. The other 2 little boys, they don't even live here. So they never came, well, they didn't come back that night that I realized because, you know, I don't know. But apparently the other little boys, because there's a set of blonde-haired boys and then a set of brunette-haired little boys that like to cause trouble around here. So Mr. Coffee decides to take the dogs out for the evening. And again, the little kids are out there. They're yelling at other little kids that actually live here. They don't actually live here, but they're yelling at them to get off the playground equipment because they want to play on stuff and all this. And Mr. Coffee's like, oh, hell no. So he goes over and gets in the little boy's face because the little boy looks like he's probably like Orion's age. He goes over and gets in the little boy's face, asking him why he's yelling at these little kids. The little boy tells him to get the F out of his face. I'm like, oh, snap. We about to catch charges out here in this piece. I know you didn't just say what you thought you said to my husband, because I was out with Mr. Coffee sitting on the park bench. And I hear him go, get the F out of my face. I'm like, oh, we about to catch charges today. You think we won't chop an 11-year-old in the throat? I'm not 11, I'm 13. That's the even sadder part. You're out here playing with a bunch of little babies and then gonna get mad because you can't go swing on the swings, buddy. I'm like, we got problems. There about to be problems and repercussions out here if you don't stop and watch your tone, because I don't think you know who you're talking to. But I'm not above hitting a small child in the throat, okay? So I'm going to need you to take that tone way on down, and you're not going to talk to my husband like that either. And if you don't like it, you can go get your parents and tell them to come see us. And believe me, this never goes over well. So please go get your parents. I ain't getting them, F this, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we about to catch charges. And Mr. Coffee's like, no, come on. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. He got a big mouth. He got an adult mouth, and he about to have some adult problems. Let's go. I'm like, and he got the nerve to ball his fist up at me. I'm like, look, listen, I'm about to catch a misdemeanor charge right now because you did not just ball your fist up at me, because the way my life is set up, again, I will hit a small child. And he's like, I'm almost as big as you. I'm like, yeah, that's not a flex, buddy. I'm almost 40. You are 13. Settle down, okay? Again, I do not condone violence, but if your child wants to buck up at me, I will be very much obliged to have to chop this small child in the throat, especially if he curses at me. Yeah, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. So as I'm sitting there, and Mr. Coffee's like, no, come on, I don't need you catching charges today. I'm like, it's about to be a misdemeanor Monday out here. I don't care about catching no charge. As soon as I said that, little boy's eyes got real big, and he like took off, and I'm like, oh, where you going? You big and bad. You ain't big and bad now. You think I'm scared of catching charges? I don't care about catching charges. I catch charges like you catch donuts. Let's go. And he didn't come back. I get a little hype. And little kids were all thankful that he left because, again, he had been cursing and yelling at them to get off the playground equipment. And I'm like, yeah, y'all, if y'all have issues with the other kids coming, because that's what ends up happening, is that other kids from other places that don't live here come here and then try to bully the other little kids around here. And most of the kids around here know that if they have problems with somebody bullying them, they come get me from my house and I get the kid to go away because I'm the scary lady. So, like, yeah. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I'm not going to have the kids that live here whose parents pay this expensive ass rent getting bullied off the playground equipment because some other little high school teenagers want to play. No, we're not doing that. So the little boy left. We don't know where he went off to. Like, he just kind of disappeared like a fart in the wind. And Mr. Coffee's like, you okay? No, I'm not okay. I'm like, my mental health shaky as hell right now. And that little boy got the nerve to cuss at me. Look, listen, I'm literally about to catch charges out here in this piece. And he goes, what the hell's up with Misdemeanor Monday? I'm like, I'm about to catch some charges. I'm telling you. And he's like, oh, sweet Lord, calm down. So he calms me down and we sit and have a conversation about, because I mentioned that my mental health was shaky. And so with it, of course, being Mental Health Month, you, of course, don't have to talk about mental health just in the month of May. You can talk about mental health whenever you want to. I told Mr. Coffee I have been struggling a little bit with my mental health and the way things are going currently. I feel, I don't know, like I expressed to him how I feel about certain things that are going on in my life when it comes to YouTube and like my friends and stuff like that. And he talked to me that he is also struggling a little bit with his mental health with a couple of things just because work's been crazy and he doesn't feel like he gets enough time at home with the family, and he feels bad that he can't go out and do stuff with us as a family, and he understands that he has to work. Y'all, this girl's testing my patience. She is. So yeah. All right, so we have this gold that's going through here, right? It's not gonna be gold. Well, it's going to be gold, but not really. We're going to use my metallic gold. I'm just going to fill that in. And it looks like it's two different colors. And I'm not worried about the two different colors. I want it to be gold, so I'm turning it gold. Remember, when you're diamond painting, you can customize your diamond painting however you want. Yes, you bought the kit, and you can easily do the kit the way that it comes to you. You can also enhance the kit with however you want to enhance it. If you want to turn this chick brown, turn her brown. If you want the background to be black, turn it black. It is your kit. Do with it as you want. I think a lot of people tend to forget that. And I think that's one of the things about diamond painting that it was kind of turning me off a little bit, was the fact that so many people were either scared to enhance their kits or they get super serious about diamond painting and they're like, you can't do that. Like, being told in crafting that you can't do something, that's a big no-no for me. And I had someone tell me that I couldn't enhance this one picture the way I wanted to because it wouldn't make the picture look right, and that's not how it came to me. And I'm like, you can enhance a picture however you want to. People take this craft a little too seriously, and it shows. Like, relax. It's diamond painting. It's not the end of the world. And if something happens where you can't diamond paint anymore, it's not the end of the world. So chill out. Jeez, y'all, I'm not even joking. The lady straight up told me that I couldn't enhance the kit the way I wanted to because it's that's not how the kit came, and it's not going to look right unless I rechart and redo the end. I'm like, lady, look, listen, chill out. It is not that serious, okay? Like, if I want to give this girl a filter with doggy ears and a big sloppy dog tongue, I will. I'm like, but you going around being the diamond painting police, you need to chill the hell out. Like, seriously. Like, diamond painting is not that serious, and so many people take this craft way too seriously. And it turns off a lot of people from wanting to do it, including myself. So, like, just know, if you don't like the enhancements that somebody else does on their kit, that's fine. You're not the one doing it, And you also don't have to comment. You can just, like, you know, keep scrolling. Oh, boy. The fact that we have to still say that in 2022, I'm telling you. Anyways, so yeah, so I am enhancing this kit. Again, I will go over all the enhancements. I don't want to go over it now because it would take all day. But I am enhancing the kit, which is why that flower doesn't look like the flower that it did when it, you know, on the picture itself, it looks a little bit more sparkly. But the one thing I couldn't get over is it looks like there's white spots in the gold, but I'm not seeing that translate into the diamond painting. So the highs and low parts are just different colors, which is fine. I'm just not going to have them be those colors. I'm just going to change them up a bit. So, yeah, so there's that. So dealing with bullies at the playground has been most of the weekend, which is annoying as hell as it is. Because, again, how are you going to come to a playground where you don't even live and then tell the children that actually live here that they can't play? We're not doing that. And Miss Coffee is all about anti-bullying. It might not sound like it, but I am. But I'm not going to have a bunch of older kids coming over here threatening small children that are between the ages of 6 and 9 so that they can come swing on the swings with their friends. And I'm like, yeah, no, if you want to do drugs, go over to your house and do drugs. Don't do them over here. A lot of high schoolers will come here to smoke weed and stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, do that crap over at your house. Don't bring that crap over here around these kids. So, like, I'm kind of like the mama of the neighborhood. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having that title because ain't nobody messing with the kids around this neighborhood, okay? They gonna play safely, and you best believe if anything happens, they at least, if nothing else, the kids that live around here, their parents, there's only one set of kids whose parents, they live here, but they live in the back of the complex. That is the doorbell. Don't worry about it. They live in the back of the complex, so if their kids were to scream out for help, you know, they probably wouldn't hear it, but I would. And I usually sit up in the living room area, so, like, I can usually hear when the kids are outside playing and whatnot. So there's that. And like I said, the weather has been, up until yesterday, the weather's been really, really nice. Like, we've been in the 60s, the high 60s, mid 70s. And now, all of a sudden, we're going back down into the 50s. And I'm like, what the flip? I should not be turning on the air conditioner in the morning and then turning the heater on at night. Like, this, my poor, like, AC system must be hella confused. Like, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep turning me off and on? Like, okay, so we finally turned the heater off a week ago today. So a week ago this Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, we were turning on the AC. But it wasn't kicking on, and I'm like, please tell me that this AC doesn't need to be charged again. Because last year when we first moved in here, which we are tomorrow, June 1st, is our 1-year anniversary in the house. So, yay! I love this house, and I really didn't want to leave even after they spiked the rent up for no freaking reason. We had talked about it, you know, moving again, but I was like, I don't want that hassle. I really don't. I'm so lazy. I will pay the extra $400. That's fine. And yes, that's how much my rent went up by $400. So I was like, we'll just have to pay it. I'll have to work harder on YouTube and, you know, doing what I got to do to make extra cash to help out pay bills. Because I was paying bills before, but now, like, I'm legit helping him pay, you know, bills. Like, I'm paying more than just, like, the electric bill and the cell phone bill. So, so I'm excited to do more stuff with YouTube and probably venture out to do a few other things to help bring in a little extra cash to the house, because now I feel like I have, like, a legit job and I'm actually, like, helpful. And it's not just me buying craft supplies, which is nice because now I get to actually use said craft supplies. Anyways, so yeah, but we didn't need our air conditioner charged. We just needed a new air filter. The filter that we had in there is a year old. So I just went up to the lady at the leasing office and I was like, hey, I need to get an air filter from you. So she hands me an air filter, and I already know how to put it in myself. So I just came home, put it in, and now it's working just fine. The problem is I keep having to kick off the air conditioner to turn on the heater, because by the time nighttime comes, it's freaking frigid in here. And I'm like, why is it so cold? And I'm like, oh, okay, because it's cold outside. Again, it's how I don't understand why it's doing this. Like, why is it getting so cold all of a sudden? So, yeah, it's one of those things. All right, hold on a second. I gotta go. Yeah, So, yeah, so the weather's just been a little crazy here, and it's kind of annoying. Is the weather hot where you are? I think over in Australia, it should be winter, which is still weird to me that you guys have a whole different season than us over here in the U.S., but I guess I shouldn't be too freaked out by that by now, because I've been on YouTube long enough to know that you guys are usually in winter when we're in summer, which is kind of cool. I think I would like it if we had, like, Christmas in the summer, because then it would make sense to buy your children bikes and stuff that are used for outside. Anyways, so the weekend here was, you know, typical weekend, minus having to fuss with all these goddamn kids. And eventually we just told Maggie, you know, her friends had to go inside. So we told her, you know, just go off and play by yourself. Stay away from the park for right now. Let the little kids, let the other little kids play. If the teenager, and we told the other kids that were there, you know, if the teenagers come back, just let us know and we'll come out and say something. So they said, okay. And they said, thank you for letting them, you know, still continue to play at the park. I'm like, oh, it's not my job or anything, like, to be like the park police, but I'm also not going to let people come over here and bully you guys off the playground equipment. Like, that's not how we go. So, like, if you guys need me, I live over in this apartment over here. And so they said, okay. And so Maggie decides that she's going to go off by herself because she was skating, and she got some new chalk and some new bubbles. And I'm like, let's see how long the chalk and bubbles last this year. Chalk and bubbles at my house has to be purchased at least twice a month, because Maggie, she will leave it out in the rain. She will forget that she put it somewhere and don't remember when she put it for the next day. Like, it's a whole hot mess, okay? A whole hot mess as to the chalk and bubble situation. She'll spill the bubbles. She'll let her friends play with them, and they'll spill the bubbles. So, like, bubbles and chalk is something I have to buy at least 3 or 4 times in, like, the next 2 months, because she will eventually, like, she'll eventually lose the chalk or break all the chalk or spill all the bubbles and whatnot. She's a kid. That's what they do. So, like, the summer funtivities have begun. But she decided she was going to go off on her own yesterday and skate, because I told her, I'm like, I'm going to be sitting in the office because I'm diamond painting. So if you need me, come to the back door. So she said, fine. Well, then the wind starts picking up again. And she's on skates, okay? Remember this. She's on skates. The wind starts picking up. And she's sitting there playing, and I see her zooming back and forth, and Mr. Coffee's like, you know, where's, you know, Orion? I'm like, Orion's upstairs, Maggie's in her room, everybody's fine, you know, go sit down and relax. So he goes, okay, he goes, what are we having for dinner? And I'm like, we're probably going to have just tamale pie, which is something that Mr. Coffee cooks. I had him cook, I want to say Sunday night, and then Monday we just have it as leftovers, because there's so much of it left over, because for some reason, he can't cook half of the recipe. He cooks the full recipe, which serves like 12 people or some crap. So we ended up having it 2 times in a row. And so I was like, we'll just warm up some tamale pie for dinner. You know, everybody seems to like it except for Orion, but he usually just eats leftovers anyways. So I'm like, you know, it is what it is. So he goes and sits down, and I'm sitting here, and I hear the wind picking up, and I look outside here, and right outside here next to my craft room is a tree that they planted when they built these houses. They did plant some trees. So there is a tree outside of my craft room window. And I'm watching it as, like, the leaves and the branches are, like, you know, swaying down and everything. And I'm like, wow, it's really coming down out there. Or it's really, you know, the wind is really kicking up out there. And so I'm sitting there, and I see Maggie, and she's, like, struggling to essentially skate going up the street, which was against the wind. And so, like, I see her struggling, and then she just kind of throws herself into the grass. And I was like, okay. I go over to the window. I go, are you okay? And she's like, I'm okay. I'm like, okay. So I go back and sit down. Not 2 seconds later, okay, I see something zip past my window. And I'm like, what the flip is that? Maggie is a very smart child. Let me just say that. Maggie, when Maggie gets her mind to it, she's a very, very smart child. This can both be awesome and scary at the same time, because depending on what she has her mindset on, yeah. So I'm sitting here, and I see something zip past the corner of my eye, and I'm like, what the hell was that? So I get up and I look out the kitchen window, because we have a sliding glass door in our window. I look out the window. It was Maggie. She decided, instead of going against the wind, go with the wind. Let the wind just take you. And I'm like, oh, it's Maggie. Oh, snap, it's Maggie. So I go and I unlock the back door. I slam it open, and I go running towards her, because she's going towards the street, okay? So the way my house is set up, there's a long sidewalk that goes up this way. And then if you go down this way, is the street, another sidewalk, and then the street, and then like a empty field. She's going towards the empty field. And I'm like, no, ma'am, come back. No. Mr. Coffee's like, what's happening? I'm like, Maggie's running down the street. Now take it. I'm in pajamas. Okay. I have literally booty shorts and it's essentially a long shirt and booty shorts. I got my hair cap on. My hair cap done blew off in the wind. So I'm walking around looking like who done it. And Mr. Coffee's like, your hair cap. I'm like, you're a child. And so I'm running because I want to get to her before she hits that main street. She's just having the time of her life. Okay. She's just having a grand old time rolling down the street. Now she comes to the intersection because she already passed the first street here by the house. So she's working her way to that second street on the main road before you hit the empty field. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh God, no. So I start running towards her to go get her. I'm about to freak out because she's about to hit that street. And I thought I heard a car coming. But that could have just been, whatever in my head. As she gets to the corner of that sidewalk, she turns. I immediately just stop and look at her. I was like, hold up, what the flip just happened? She turned. I didn't realize that she had learned how to make turns on her skates. So here's the intersection with the sidewalk. So when she came here, she just turned her skates and went up the street. And I'm like, hold up, who taught you to do that? And she's like, Daddy taught me. I was like, what the hell? Now, Mr. Coffee taught them last year how to skate on their skates. I didn't realize he was teaching them like how to turn and everything else. I just thought he was teaching them how to go forward. But no, apparently Maggie can turn on her skates. So I was up there freaking out for nothing. So Mr. Coffee catches up with me and he's like, what's wrong? Is she okay? I'm like, she's fine. But I just happened to see her zip past my window like a bat out of hell. And I got scared that she was going to run into the street. And he's like, oh, well, why didn't she just turn? I'm done. Nope, I'm done. I didn't know she could turn, sir. Like, this isn't something that I knew. So he's like, yeah, she can turn. You know what? You some of them. So I came back to the craft room and just sat down and kept crafting because, I didn't realize that she could turn. The sad part is we haven't seen them on the skates since last year because, it's been a year and they can't skate in snow. So I did not realize that she could turn on her skates. And she's like, what's wrong, Mommy? Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. What's wrong? I thought you were going to run into the street. And she goes, but I'm not allowed to ride in the street. I'm like, I am aware that you're not allowed to ride in the street, which is why I was freaking out that you were going to ride into the street. And she's like, well, why would I do that? I'm not allowed to be in the street. Maggie, I didn't know you knew how to turn. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I know how to turn? You know what? I'm going back to my craft room. So I just came back to my craft room and finished the section I was working on because the way my life is set up. Yeah. I just gonna mind my business from now on. Anyways, so there was Maggie flying past the thing. Apparently she kept doing this because it was fun to let the wind blow her around on her skates and she didn't have to do anything. And I'm like, okay. All right, sorry about that. Tiny humans are ready for their breakfast, so I told them I'd hurry up and wrap this up. So I might have to cut a little bit short because they want to eat breakfast and go play. Anyways, so yeah, so it was, the typical weekend. I did finish the Brooklyn Kaiju blanket, so if you are not on social media, I will put up a picture. We'll put up a picture here. I did finish the Kaiju blanket. I do have one more blanket to make, and then I'm done making blankets for a while. At least for a long while. The blankets usually only take about 2 weeks, but because I do other things, it took a little bit longer to make, which is fine, because he wasn't in any kind of a rush to get it or anything. It's a gift, so he doesn't really care how long it takes. And he was super excited to see it completed. So that is done, and now I'm going to work on the blanket for Denzel, which he's the artist that I buy all the prints from. Denzel Draws. I told him I'd make him one of his logos, because their logos are really simple, so they're easy to do with the crochet stuff. So there's that. And then apparently, according to the Q&A, I need to do more crochet videos. The problem is, one, it's summertime, so it's hella hot outside. So I don't think I'm gonna be like doing like blanket tutorials or anything, but I do need to do a couple of tutorials on like graph GANs and stuff, because I keep getting asked to do them, and I'm like, okay, I'll do them. And I haven't had the time, but now that the kids are out of school, I should have the time to do more crochet tutorials. Again, I want to start doing a little bit more, a couple more lives here and there, just kind of sporadically whenever I get the feeling to do so. And with being able to draw now like that on my streams, I want to, the random lives, if they happen, will be drawing lives. Friday nights will be a mixture of diamond painting and or drawing, which I will let you know just in case, again, drawing isn't your cup of tea and you don't want to see that. I'll let you know that I'll be drawing so that you know that, you know, you probably won't want to come in. But we did have a lot of fun Friday night, and I didn't realize it until the next day that I went for 3.5 hours, and I was like, what the hell? But we made a killer bunny, and everybody was kind of, like, I was telling the story because the Uncrafty Crafter didn't hear the story of the killer bunny that tried to attack me. The good thing is, I talked to the lady whose bunny it is, and I asked them, I was like, because we had an extra cage from when we bought the ferrets. We bought a rabbit cage when we got the ferrets, and the ferrets hated the goddamn cage. So we put it in the garage, never to be seen again. Well, when the lady's bunnies started coming and getting out, we asked her, you know, hey, would you like this cage? We, you know, we're not selling it. We would just give it to you just to keep your bunnies contained. One, because I don't want to die from your bunny attacking me. And two, because you obviously don't have a decent cage for the bunnies because they keep getting out. She said, you know, let me ask my husband what he wants to do because he was making something for them or whatnot. So her husband comes over the other day and he's like, hey, you guys mentioned about a rabbit cage. And we were like, yeah. So we give him the rabbit cage, and that's one less thing that's cluttering up my garage right now. So yay. And they were able to, like, essentially what he ended up doing was he tore it down to make something else with it. Like, he made like a nice decent sized hutch for the bunnies. And so I was like, oh, yay, at least somebody was able to put it to work, because it's been sitting in my garage for like the last year or so now. So I'm happy he was able to use it. And then, of course, he was like, you know, if you ever get rid of that black cage in the house, I'm like, I don't think we're getting rid of that cage, not unless the ferrets die or something. But, yeah, they seem pretty content in there. They're finally getting used to the 3rd level on the cage. So I'm like, I don't see us getting rid of that anytime soon. So now the bunnies are not getting out and attacking the neighborhood, which is great. And it was just a very chillaxed weekend. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited that the fact that I got to spend time with Mr. Coffee, because lately we haven't been spending a lot of time together, because of, you know, between my work and his work. Oop, almost lost that tray. Because of his work and my work, we haven't gotten to spend too much time together, and when we do, we're too tired to do anything. So it was nice to be able to sit down and have an actual conversation with him where one of us wasn't falling asleep. So yeah, I anticipate this week is going to be a pretty mellow week, mostly because I'm super excited to get this kit finished. Is it going to take me forever like it did with the Raven kit? I don't know. Part of the reason why the Raven kit took me forever wasn't because I wasn't enjoying the kit. It's because, if you guys remember, I don't do well with dark colors. Dark colors on diamond paintings, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but it's just not my jive. But I really like that image, and I was determined to finish it no matter how long it took. Now, will it take me a year and a day to finish this? I hope not. I really do. I don't want to stare at this thing for a year and a day. But somebody gave me a great idea, though, because I think, I want to say it was Dream, was like, she wishes that it came in different, like, all representations. It wasn't just this, the problem with it is, for me, this is like a, kind of like broken china. Like, you remember how your parents used to have that cabinet set full of china dishes that they never used? Was that just me, or was that you? Did your parents have a special cabinet, or a hutch? I guess some people called it a hutch. We called it a shrunk. But that's where my parents left all their fancy dishes. We never used these dishes, but they had them. I don't know why. But that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of, like, broken china or broken porcelain. And I think Dream was the one that was like, you know, I wish this came in a different, like, I wish it came in all orientations, meaning she wishes that it had the representation of not only being pure white, but maybe doing a pure black one. And I'm like, how cool would that be? A pure black one with gold, because that gold would pop. And then you could do black and grays. And I was like, ooh, that gives me an idea. So I was going to attempt to draw something with that. So maybe I will work on that in a live this week with you guys if you choose to join in on the lives for drawing. I also was telling Mr. Coffee that, you know, I of course have been doing all my little side hustles and stuff like that, but I got asked about the Teespring shop opening up again, and I was like, I need to get the Teespring shop open again because people are asking for stuff that, like, I can't make here. Like, I don't have time to make 20, 30 t-shirts and then send them all out and all that. I wish I did, but I don't, just because with the kids being out for summer, I want to spend a little bit more time with the kids. I don't feel like I spend a lot of time with my kids. It might sound like I do, but for the most part, they are very independent kids, so they will play on their own. Maggie will have days where she's super, like, stage 5 clinger, but for the most part, she plays by herself for the most part. So I want to spend some more time with the kids, like watching movies and stuff. And so I think that's what we'll do while Mr. Coffee's at work. And then when he gets home from work, we can, like, have our movie night on Saturdays or something. Just to get a little bit more family-oriented time, because we're trying to figure out stuff to do with the kids this summer, and the outlook looks bleak. Because there's not a whole lot to do in this area, and one thing that we really all enjoy doing is going hiking at the Badlands. So I said to Mr. Coffee, maybe we should get bikes and go biking. The problem is, I don't, nature and bikes, that just sounds like a bad time. Like, I can see us running into a pack of buffaloes and then on the bikes, and Maggie can't pedal that fast, and all you have to do essentially is pedal as fast as the slowest, or faster than the slowest person. And I'm like, look, listen, I'm not trying to have my baby getting attacked by buffaloes. But one of the things we do want to do, of course, is go back to the Badlands this year. I want to actually go to the South Dakota end of it, because it's not just in North Dakota. If I remember correctly, somebody said part of it is in South Dakota. We want to go to that part, which that's quite a whiles away, because we are in the tippy top corner of North Dakota. So to get to South Dakota, it's going to take a few hours. And I'm like, I don't know if I can sit for that long. Also, we're going to be a little tight here for a little bit. We found out yesterday, as Mr. Coffee was driving his truck home from work, or not yesterday, but was it Sunday? His truck started acting funny again. Y'all remember the $4,000 that we just paid to have his car repaired? Well, guess what? The car's doing the exact same thing it was doing when we took it to get repaired. So that $4 grand we paid, 'tis for nothing, because it's still getting stuck in gear again. So he's got to call them and be like, hey, what the hell's going on? We just paid you $4 grand to fix this problem and it's still happening. Yeah, I'm not happy. So we have also been talking about him trading in, that's again the doorbell. We've been talking about him trading in his truck to get something new, because I'm not about to pay $4 grand every time this truck needs to go in and get repaired. And honestly, I don't think the people repaired it. I think they did some kind of temporary fix to it, and now they're needing it to come back in for them to do the same thing over to it again. I'm like, no. Let's trade it in. Let's trade it in and get you something else, because I know you love your big truck. I know you do. But with the cost of diesel to fill up Mr. Coffee's vehicle. Now take it, I have an SUV. So to fill up my vehicle, it's like 50 bucks, okay? No big deal. To fill up Mr. Coffee's truck, and if you didn't know, my husband has a Dodge 3500. To fill up his truck, and it has a slip tank on it, but if you're just filling up the truck itself, and it's a diesel, it's not a gasser, it's a diesel. To fill up his truck cost us $152. And that's like every other week. Yeah. Time to get rid of said truck, okay? I told him, I'm like, I don't care if you get another truck, but it has to be gas, obviously. And it has to be an automatic, because in case something happens to my car, I need to be able to drive it. I can't drive stick. Question of the video, can you drive stick? If you've gotten this far in the video, answer that question down in the comment section below, and I would greatly appreciate it. But I can't drive stick. Minna's dad tried to teach me. I almost broke his car. He didn't teach me anymore after that. So I cannot drive stick. So I always request, and Mr. Coffee loves driving stick shifts. Of course he does, because he hates my life. And so I'm like, could you please get an automatic? The sad part is, he's had this truck now for what, 3 years? I've never once driven this truck. Never. Minna has driven this truck. I have never driven this truck. Yeah. So I'm like, before you trade it in, I at least have to drive it. At least once. Now, I do have experience driving bigger trucks because I used to work for a rent-to-own place and I would have to drive the big box truck. So I have experience driving big trucks. The problem is, Mr. Coffee's always been scared that I'm going to hit something. And I'm like, I'm not going to hit anything. Yeah, I'm not going to hit anything. I don't think. As long as I can see where I'm going, I'll be fine. Like, it's a car. It's not that bad. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. As I'm telling myself this and I'm freaking out that I'm going to hit something like a small child, because for some reason here, children aren't taught manners or how to live and be adults or how to be children in that factor. And if they see you driving, they will just walk straight out in front of your car like your car has brakes that are automatically going to just stop because they're walking in front of your car. So, yeah. Anyways. But that's going to be it for me today. I should probably go so that the kids can eat their breakfast and get on with their day, because I'm pretty sure Maggie is like ripping and running, ready to go outside and play. It is still cold and windy, but, you know, put a jacket on, go outside. So with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions or comments or concerns, please leave those down in the comment section below. When it comes to the enhancements on this kit, again, I will tell you all the enhancements as soon as I'm done. Just because I don't want to take forever and a day trying to explain all of them or my mindset, and I'm still not 100% sure if I'm going to keep some of the stuff the way it is. So I will explain it all in the post review, which hopefully won't take forever and a day, but who knows. So with that said, I got to get out of here. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Put all your questions, comments, concerns. Answer the question of the video. 1, is there a bad kid in your neighborhood? Like, there's always one. 2, how's the weather where you are? Cold, hot, is it windy like it is here today? And 3, can you drive a stick shift? Yes or no? But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And always remember to stay crafty, stay caffeinated, and stay safe. And never forget to be kind to others. You never know what somebody else is going through. Be courteous and always stay cool. Bye, guys.